All right. Welcome. Before we start our meeting officially, we'll start with a prayer. All right. Welcome to the February board meeting. First up is recognition.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here this evening. I love seeing all these faces. We'll be happy to still see you, at around 7:30 tonight. So thanks for being here. Every month, if you haven't been with us in a while, we try to recognize students and partners and staff who have really shown excellence throughout the prior month. So we are going to start with our students tonight, and we will begin with our Central 9 Students of the Month. Congratulations to our January Central 9 Students of the Month. Brooklyn Collins in Criminal Justice. Is Brooklyn with us? Matthew Gaines in Information Technology Operations. And Andrew Pollard in Construction Trades.
Your mom's telling me there's paparazzi here and paparazzi here. But before we get to that, so we want to just talk a little bit about your program. What are you doing at Central 9 and how were you selected as Student of the Month?
So usually we start by framing and drywalling a house, but we finish the house and it's sold really quickly, the first buyer. And I was selected because I stayed after school, went in on the weekends, and just kind of helped Mr. Warman finish the house.
That's awesome. And who do you have with you?
My dad, my Nana, my brother, and my mom.
Congratulations. And do you think this is going to be a future for you? Do you want to stay in building trades?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to get a picture. And Andrew, the real key, we know why you came tonight. It's these special pencils. Thank you very much.
Brother will be jealous. Congratulations, Andrew. And now moving on to collaboration, another of our guiding principles, we are going to begin with our National School Resource Officer Day. So if all of our SROs who are with us this evening, if you could please come forward. National School Resource Officer Day is February 15th. We would like to thank all of our school resource officers for their dedication in making sure that Franklin Community Schools is a safe place for our students and our staff. Please join me in thanking them for their service.
So Mr. Sheriff Cox is saying that's the reason he came was the pencil. So that is good to know. But I just want to say thank you to these gentlemen. Every day we have, 4,900 students. We have 700 staff members come to school, and they want to be safe. And we live in a crazy time that sometimes that doesn't always happen in schools. But these gentlemen put their all out to make sure that it is a safe place. Sheriff Cox is kind of the guy that we've tapped to help be our leader, and he's the one that looks out for us in many ways. And I just want to say thank you to all the gentlemen and to Sheriff Cox. They do a great job. They make kids feel safe, they make faculty feel safe, and administration as well. So we are very lucky to have these fine officers provide a safety net so that we can do school. and do it so the kids can learn and the faculty can do their job. So on behalf of all of us and the board, we just want to say thank you very much for what you do. But we have to get a picture. We have to get one picture.
Thought he was going to get away.
Yeah.
Union Elementary. Is Katie Smith here? Yeah, there she is. Katie, please, and your team, please come on down. Congratulations to our Ramblers. The U.S. News and World Report named Union Elementary one of the best elementary schools in 2024. Union ranked number 20 in the state of Indiana per the criteria used. There are over 1,000 public elementary schools in Indiana and approximately 1,700 public-private elementary schools. Please join me in congratulating Union Ramblers.
Well, we know, Mrs. Nelson, would you like to come down also? You're a Union Rambler. You represent Union.
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Let's just smile back here.
We are very fortunate to have this recognition bestowed upon the school. They're a reflection of what happens in our entire district, but they do a great job of kind of bringing it to the forefront. We have parents that really dedicate behind the scenes. We have teachers and staff. And then, you know, I think Katie has had a remarkable year and a remarkable career here with us. And it was recognized earlier by the Elementary Indiana Teacher of the Year Award. Huh? Principal. But you could be teacher too. Thank you, principal. But she does a phenomenal job. And then behind that, she does preschool for the district. So Union, congratulations. It's not a secret anymore how wonderful you are. So well done.
I was going to say, hold your pencils up high.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. This is that time that you can leave. It's okay. It's okay. I wouldn't say it gets more boring, but yeah, it's all right. It's all right. No judgment. I see all the web spiders are saying though.
Yes.
All right. Do
Mr.
we have-
Sappenfield,
yes.
I have a couple of items that I wanted to offer some explanation of.
Okay.
First off, there, in the consent agenda, there is a proposed revised salary schedule for our Cub Academy assistants and our Cub Academy instructors. We're proposing that they receive a quarter an hour raise. That will put the assistants at $12.01 per hour. The instructor associates at $15.45 an hour, and the instructor bachelors at $17.76 an hour. This will come at a cost of around $13,000 with the 2% raise that they received in January, and that will be covered with proceeds. If you recall, we increased the Cub Academy rates at the beginning of the school year, so these raises will be covered with those revenues. I believe these are, besides some sub-positions that we have, these are the last positions that we have still under the $12 an hour mark. So this will allow Katie to recruit a little easier and also retain these valuable employees.
Chair Sappenfield, I have a couple of comments as well. First, we want to thank on the donation list for approval, a special thank you to Tony Daly and Industrial Controls and Automation for their support of our robotics competition grant that we received from IDOE. They provided the match that was required for that grant for our students. We do have 3 robotics teams that are in competition right now. A couple at the high school in Steve's building, and then one at the middle school in Rita's building as well. So that program continues to grow, but we could not have done it without his support. So just a special thank you to Mr. Daly. I also want to give some explanation to the changes in the revised 24-25 school calendar, which was previously approved by the board and discussed with FCTA. In recent conversations with teachers, especially at the elementary level, there has been concern about ensuring that students are sent home to the appropriate place after that first day. And so some concerns about the timing of the back-to-school night for families at the elementary level. So in response to that, we've gone back to a more traditional start to the beginning of the year. We've bumped that start date from Tuesday to Wednesday, which then requires us to pick up a day somewhere else. And so instead of a day off for that President's Day weekend, you'll see that that's an e-learning day instead. That's where we've picked up the day.
You want to talk about ESSER?
Yes. Another agenda item is in reference to the CARES 2 project. If you recall, this was funding for the Webb Elementary HVAC. And so that was, I think this project started in 2021. IDOE reached out to us with a kind of an audit type report asking, and one of the items, a lot of them were fairly minimal and easy to knock out. But one of the items was asking for us to work with the contractor to develop an amendment to the contract. The architects neglected to include the Davis-Bacon language that's required for public works projects. So IDOE asked that we do an amendment including that language, and then while we're at it, throw in the timeline for the project too. So we worked with Ellis Mechanical. They were very cooperative in approving this document and working with us on language and things like that. So we appreciate that. So this is the last item on that list. I've got some letters and things like that that need to go. So this is the last item, and then I'll submit all of that tomorrow. Mr. Young asked that I request that the amendment be dated back to the original contract. I must have gotten that wrong, so. I think you might have it now.
There it is.
Yeah.
No, not, well, that the amendment is effective from when the contract was entered into.
The original
It's not saying
contract.
it's retroactive, but that is simply effective to when, back in 21 or whatever it was entered into.
Okay. So I'm requesting your approval on the amendment and for that to be effective the date of the original contract.
Mrs. Betts, I know that we were so excited to start talking about our side of the admin consent agenda. Were there any public comments? Okay, thank you. And I do have a couple. Back to donations. First, I just want to say we are blessed to have great partnerships. And if you look through the donation list, you'll see several that are worthy of what we talked about. A couple that I want to highlight. The baseball program received a $2,250 donation for any miscellaneous needs. We had an anonymous donor donate $7,800 to school lunches to wipe out the school lunch debt. And then one that was really interesting, we have a student at the middle school that submitted a proposal to the Fall Creek Valley Foundation on behalf of his team for robotics, and he's receiving $1,000 from that foundation. So we just want to say, thank you. And there are many that I could just highlight, but those are just some in that partnership and that collaborative trust domain that we have. A couple others that I want to highlight. Final Forms, you recall Mr. Doty came last year about Final Forms for our athletic program. We're going to use that same resource for registration for school. And the reason I'm highlighting that is the athletic portion now becomes free, and we are paying for the registration piece. And so that's one change in the product that I need to highlight. Also, Mr. Bixler is in the audience. We are asking to have Mr. Bixler reappointed to the Johnson County Public Library Board. Kirk is a wonderful patron, also a leader in our community, and he represents us quite well. We've had different updates throughout his time, and we'd asked to have him reappointed. If you've traveled on 65, maybe you had a chance to see the billboards that highlight Katie, Eric, Dr. Hayden, and others. But it's a way for us to kind of highlight our school district, and the contract is on here as we move forward. And the last one that I really want to highlight, you'll see all these people out in the audience that have a T-shirt on, but they're here because we are pleased to announce that we're recommending that Carolyn Ray assume the principalship at Webb Elementary. Carolyn comes to She comes to us as a classroom teacher with us. She's filled in as the interim role, and we're really excited about the journey that she's on. And so we have asked for this approval from you tonight. That will conclude our comments from the consent agenda.
Mrs. Ray, would you like the mic? You don't have to.
I feel like I can't say no with all of these wonderful people here tonight. So I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve Webb in this role. It is obviously a great building filled with tradition and staff who are truly family, as you can see tonight. So I am honored to take on this role, and thank you for trusting me in this leadership position.
So, Mrs. Ray, let's make it official. I move for approval on the consent agenda.
All right.
I'll second.
We have first and second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Mrs. Ray, before you sit down, if we could have the Webb teachers and Mrs. Ray come to the front, we'll get a quick picture with the board here behind and you in front, please. I have more, but yeah, sure, we'll give.
We'll have to allocate more funds for pencils.
I think so, yeah.
The lady with the hat on refused the pencil, huh?
Yeah. Kind of rude.
I'm like, Debbie, no.
All
All right.
right.
We'll move on to action items. Are there any public comments? No public comments on action items. All right. First up, investment income distribution.
Okay, well, at the last meeting, I talked about our interest income last year. With the interest rates where they are, that became a pretty lucrative investment. So that sparked some questions about where that income should be directed. And I found that Indiana code requires that the board approve a resolution outlining where those interest income funds will be put. So the resolution in front of you dictates that for most funds, it will remain in that, the interest income will remain in that fund. For example, what's earned in the education fund will stay in the education fund. Operations, the same way, debt service, but then you get down to some of the, I call them holding accounts, like the grant accounts, the donation accounts, where the money doesn't stay there very long anyway. So that's what we're calling other, and I'm proposing that with the exception of $60,000 to be deposited into employer choice, that interest would remain in that other category. But the $60,000 employer of choice will allow us to continue to do our physical and financial wellness and what's the other category? I'm blanking. The wellness and, principal packs for the buildings. So I am requesting your approval on this interest income resolution.
I'll move for approval.
First,
Second.
okay. First and second, all those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you, Tina. Next up is resolution for early literacy grants.
Yep, thank you, President Sappenfield. House Enrolled Act 1001, 2023 provided a stipend for foundational literacy. Part of the requirement was a resolution to be passed by the board on how we would distribute the funds. Franklin schools will receive $22,980.68. We will be distributing those to K1, 2, 3 teachers and support staff and anyone that had direct intervention for students in K1, 2, 3 during the last school year. And that's really an important piece. This is a retro activity resolution, and it will be applied coming forward here in March. And so in the resolution, I detail how they came up with the dollar amount, also how we would distribute that, and it does only go to K1, 2, 3 teachers. And we've talked with FCTA about the teachers in grades 4 through 12 and why they're not a part of it. And we're also including 50% of the full-time stipend for a teacher to go to an interventionist classroom assistant because they played a part in that as well. So I'm asking for your approval. If we do get approval for this money will be distributed before March 29th of this coming school year.
Any discussion? If not, we entertain motions.
Move to approve.
Yep.
Second.
First and second, all those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. That concludes action items. Next up is discussion. We have a few things on the agenda.
Mrs. Holman, please come forward.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, good evening. I'm here tonight to ask that you consider the naming of our FCMS drama prop and costume closet after the late Mrs. Karen Cheek. Karen worked in FCS until May of 2020 when she lost a hard-fought battle with cancer. During her time at FCS, Karen assumed many roles, the last of which was an English teacher at the middle school, wherein she saw a need to start a drama club. She loved helping students shine on stage and especially loved getting them all dressed up and costumes and all the fun things. Karen's last class of students graduate this spring, and we would like to honor her with a ceremony to include her family, former students, and middle school staff. And additionally, we would love to be able to name the prop and costume closet in her honor. So today I ask for your consideration in the naming of the Karen Cheek Costume Closet here at the middle school. Thank you for your consideration. Any questions for me?
Just to remind everyone, there is a small committee that Reed has pulled together of teachers and students to move forward to do this. And then next month, we would officially vote on that. But I think it's a unanimous feel from all of us that this would be a worthy endeavor to name after Mrs. Cheek. She gave so much to our kids and to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, the school board, the school calendar.
Yes, this is the 25-26 school calendar. We traditionally try to do these at least a year and a half or so in advance. And so this calendar has gone through the committee. There's really nothing outstanding or strange on this calendar. It's pretty traditional. It actually mirrors the calendar we just approved pretty closely. So we're honoring the beginning and the end of school, and everything else is fairly consistent.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Eclipse plan?
All right. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there's an eclipse coming on, I believe. It's kind of a big deal.
Mr. Betts, you're going to have to hold the mic up a little closer, please.
I can talk about it too. April 8th, our eclipse. We've been working on a plan for this for quite a while. Even today, when met with Franklin's emergency people and people with the town working on plans and who all's doing what, and trying to make sure we can do something here as well for our community, our school community. And this is kind of what we're looking at. As you go through our general information, when you see this is just on the eclipse. If you haven't heard, we are kind of the epicenter. It's going to be a little over 4 minutes of darkness when the eclipse comes to us around 3 o'clock p.m. on April 8th. What we're planning on doing is opening up our parking lots at the FCHS campus, and then this campus with the administration and Northwood buildings as well for parking spaces for people that will be coming here. The high school campus has around 1,500 spaces. Right now we've got around 38 staff members that we can use during the day. It's going to be a little less. We've got a few more people take off today to help us just in general running, making sure things are okay, taking tickets, custodial staff to help run trash out of trash cans, and then making sure just our campuses are okay. At the middle school, Northwood Administration Building, we're around 500 spaces. We have around a little under 30 staff that we're going to have here doing the same thing. We'll try and split that up during the day. What we're looking at is charging for about $50 per spot, and we're going to sell those online. And they'll have them check in at the entrances the day of, and they can come in and enjoy the day with the eclipse, hopefully in a nice, safe spot. They're expecting downtown to be really, really, really crowded, so maybe our spots will be a little more conducive to just hanging out and being with family and doing those things, away from maybe the craziness of downtown. At our other school sites, what we're going to use is our buses and plan to block the entrances to those. We're talking about when we're going to do that. We may have to do it earlier in the weekend. I put Sunday on here, but we may have to do it Friday night after we run After we get kids home from school, the more and more we hear about it, it seems people will just come in, it doesn't matter where, and they will use any place they can to park. We want to make sure we take care of our school campuses as much as we can. We'll have people working in shifts, SROs, we will have on both sites the day of the eclipse. Looking at purchasing souvenir keychains for the parking spot purchase. So when they come in, we'll be able to give each car one of those as well. As you know, we've also gone through this. Our schools will be closed on that day. Actually, in the county, all of the county schools are closed on the day of the eclipse. Today, actually talked with a couple people. We already had planned on publicizing this on the Festival Country website. If you go to their website, you can find all the things that are going on in the area for the eclipse that day. Lots of places are doing lots of different things. We also are going to put it on the Johnson County Parks and Recs website. I talked with them today at the meeting we were at, and on our own website as well. When you look at our campuses, this is the high school. We're going to block the entrance up on Brannigan Road so that people will have to come in on the south side of campus and have ticket takers at the two main entrances down there. Again, we're going to have to really be diligent when you look at our high school campus. Yes, the paved areas will be blocked off, but there's not a lot keeping people from driving anywhere and coming through the grass, but we're hoping people respect the schools and our campuses and take care of it. We're going to be using our own restroom facilities there. We have a very nice restroom facility in the football area with plenty of space available there. Our band has said they are going to try and run the concession stand on those days to try and generate funds for their programs as well. This one is a little more complicated when you look at it. This campus has a lot of entrances when you talk about Northwood all the way down to Banta here on the south side of the middle school campus. We've also got to make sure we're being good stewards, I think, with our business partners on this site. And so we'll block the entrance just on our side to try and make sure people don't come into the campus where they shouldn't. Put ticket takers here at the middle school off of Banta down on the end by Emma Street, and then also down where you come off of 31, where we release buses between Northwood and the middle school. We're going to be using the restrooms on the south or on the east side of this building, where we use them for the football games, in track and field in the spring, and then also the ones, if we can, down by the football stadium. Used to use those a lot whenever we had football games when it was a high school. On the Northwood campus, again, using the ticket takers down where you come into Northwood so that we can use the parking lot down there as well, and might be a little less traffic down there coming off the roundabout on the east side of Northwood. But that's kind of where we're going to put people, and again, we'll have people across there doing as much as we can. Again, this day is going to be something that we've not seen before, and you know, it's not going to happen for another 100 years. And I think after the meeting we had today, I think a lot of people are glad that it won't happen for another 100 years. There's a lot of planning going in place across the county, but hopefully it's a fun time. When we've talked to the people in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, they have said that they would have this every year if they could. The people that came into town were great. It just is a very large influx of people in traffic for towns that normally don't get that many people. But that's what we want to present to you, what our plan is, and we are hoping, we have our sites ready to go, and we're hoping to have those up and running by the end of the week so we can start to figure out how many people will be coming into our school community on that day. Any questions?
We've got two questions, Mr. Betts.
Yeah.
If you go back to the high school map, that parking lot down at the Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
Any thoughts about putting portalettes or something there?
I'm still trying to find portalettes.
Okay,
They're not easy to come by right now.
right, I imagine.
Yeah, so yes, I talked to Holly Johnson today, and she gave me the people that they're using, and I'm trying to kind of loop in with them so they could bring a few to us as well.
Okay.
If I can do that, I want to put some on this site as well, because we don't have as many accessible restrooms here. Someone did bring up we could close the gates at the high school in the Performing Arts Center and open those up inside, but I would rather us do the portalettes and keep people outside of the building.
Okay. And then the second one, what provisions do we have in place for those people that don't leave at that 6 o'clock? We don't want those cars in the lots for the next day for the school day.
So I think there are two things. We have our SROs who will be on site. We will have them assist us in trying to nudge them along gently, hopefully. I've talked to, I talk to the Hopkinsville people quite a bit. It seems like the people who come for this, they want to see the eclipse, and it's like as soon as it starts to go to the other side and the eclipse is over, they kind of pack up and they go. Now, the hard part, can they go? And that's where we're going to have to try and kind of play that by ear. They may not be able to get out by that time, and honestly, we may not know that until we get to that point in time. According to Dr. Clendenny, I'll be here from 6 in the morning until the last person leaves, so I might take Tuesday off. I may just stay and just work Tuesday. I don't know. But we're going to try and do everything we can to help expedite that as much as we can by just trying to get people out. The packet we had today had a picture of I think it was Interstate 69 leaving the Hopkinsville area, and it was about a 6-hour backup on there. Indiana, especially where we are with Indianapolis, it's a great spot from everything we've been told, with 65 going north and south, and 70 going east and west, and it's easy to get to, and they're expecting a lot of people. So we're going to do everything we can. Even today in our meeting, everybody's planning as well as they can, but no one really knows. We've tried to learn as much as we can from others until it actually happens here with us.
Did you say you're not allowing people in until that day?
Correct. We're going to try everything we can. The one campus that's a little tough is going to be the high school with everything that's going, like
Yeah.
they still have athletic events. So we'll probably have to come in Sunday, Saturday night, and early Sunday to say, hey, if you're parked in here, we need you to get your car.
I'm just curious on where everybody's going to go.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people know that traffic, so they're going to come in a day or two ahead, and there's no way we have hotels to accommodate all this.
There are, I think today someone at the meeting said there's not a hotel room in Indiana available.
So
So.
$2,000 my front yard.
If you put it out there right now, you'd probably be able to get it. So that's where we've started talking about putting buses in those entrances on Friday night, because people will start coming. There's, the city's putting things on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And so there will be a very large influx of people we're expecting. Anywhere between, I think they're saying 50 to 200,000 additional people in our community.
The tickets that we're selling
We're moving.
shows the parking is opening at 6 a.m. and will end at 5 p.m. So we should be able to start pushing people out
Yep.
at that time.
Yep. And again, that is the plan, but it really is going to depend on what, US 31 looks like, what Jefferson Street looks like, 65, even Interstate 69 to the west of us. I mean, if it is what these other places are saying, it could be a very large backup for quite a few hours. So ride your bike that day, golf cart, whatever you can. Probably not your car is what I'm hearing from most people.
Mr. Betts, have you thought about the prep to get school on Tuesday? Are we going to have custodians come in early? What are we going to do about trash and those different things?
Well, hopefully it's going to look pretty good by the end of the night, Monday.
Okay.
But we have discussed that a little bit, to have them come in just maybe an hour or two early, just to make sure everything is okay. The meeting today, they said to expect people in our town until about midnight on Monday night.
Okay.
So we're hoping. The other thing, the Hopkinsville people, when I spoke to them, this was in 2017, they said they were the nicest, cleanest people they've ever had. They picked up after themselves, and there wasn't a lot to do afterwards, and I'm praying that's what we have as well. Again, everyone's saying it's a different group of people. It's not like a big rock concert that's going on. It's going to be families and people that come to watch eclipses that are more interested in that than coming in and partying and doing those things. And even on our website, when we sell our tickets, we have put some of those disclaimers as well, that there's no alcohol, tobacco, firearms on our campus as well.
It also dawned on me just tonight when Mr. Betts was presenting that we need to reach out to our insurance agent and make sure we don't need to add any liability insurance for this activity. So I've sent them an email, and we'll keep the board posted on that piece.
The other thing that Mr. Lamb had asked about Wi-Fi connectivity, Mr. Sprout has been in contact with Verizon. They're aware of it. They are looking at solutions from their end, but they're not necessarily in favor of us doing something first. So Matt's working with them in that space as well, because we know we're going to get flooded.
And it's the town's doing the same thing, and they're a little worried about that. And even emergency responders, they're all trying to work on creative solutions to make sure everybody's taken care of in town as well. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up is Cub Academy Summer Camp pricing.
Thank you for approving the raises for our Cub Academy staff. They work hard every day, and it's good to see them match up with other assistants in the district. So thank you. And to make up for some of that, along with what Ms. Gross discussed earlier, we raised the fees for the the 180 days last year, but we didn't do summer camp. And I run this program as a camp in June and July for 40 days for the families that they're not teachers' kids, so they need daycare during the summer. Mr. Purley has offered Needham again this year. We moved there last year because we have 2 classrooms there. So I did a couple reference points. I can rattle off a few more if you'd like. We've been at that 135 price for actually since the beginning. That does include breakfast, lunch, and a snack. And I am just requesting that we go to the $150 a week for that. We open at 7 and we close at 5:30 every day. And we take about 22 students. So that will make up a little bit of that money too, that we will be out with the salary and the raises. But it is kind of time sensitive because I have registration coming up.
We will have this on the retreat agenda to give the public a chance to make comments or anything like that in order for us to come back.
All right.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right.
Thanks. Last time, looks like policies and guidelines, first
Yeah,
reading.
this is our first reading. We met with Mr. Sappenfield, Dr. Worland, and myself to go over this set of the Churchill and Antrim policies. And just going to, as we look over these, they've continued to condense and provide more clarity to our policy structure. A couple of changes that you'll see, for example, like on student records. If you look at our present one, it's quite long and lengthy. This one has been condensed, and they've moved a lot of the same thing, like for directory information, to guidelines. And for nomenclature, that is anything that's an R, like E175R, H225R, or student records. So here we're just asking the board to consider first reading of our board policies, and we'll come back in March. And then we have, I think, 3 more between now and June to finish up, and we'll be ready to start the school year with an all-new set of policies.
Any comments or questions on this?
I've got one question.
Yeah.
Our C9 students, when we think about the college and university programs, I had a parent reach out that their child had started on an honors program. The teacher left, so they're not going to get credit for the program. Do they follow the same policies we have?
Yep, yes, they would have similar
Okay.
policies, yes. Mrs. Nelson sits on their board, so if you know the specific questions, we could get them, I can get with Dr. Kovach, and then Becky could take them to the board as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get that.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. Do we have any public comments on discussed items? All right. Thank you. Looks like we are toward the end here. Any board or administrative comments?
Just a reminder, next Tuesday, we are at the Chamber on the 20th. We're going to start at 8 o'clock. We'll be done by 3. It's a full day of finance. Just give an early kudos to Ms. Gross as she's continued to provide a good structure for our partners to come in. We're going to just continue that journey we've been on, looking at our long-range planning and our needs. So that will be on Tuesday. And then just also a reminder, we talked about the eclipse, but on April the 15th will be our board meeting and not April the 8th. That would Normally, that would be our board meeting, but we will not be here on that day unless you want to help clean up in the parking lots. But we will be April the 15th on that day.
All right, any calendar of events to announce?
One that I'd highlight is March 5th through the 8th is iRead. And really the significance there is you've heard a lot about Literacy Cadre, but it's really an important part. They did make some changes to iRead this year.
Yes, one of the recent changes, actually, as of last week, is iRead 3 is no longer timed. It was really the one remaining in that family of tests that was timed. iLearn is not timed. They changed that a number of years ago, and so we found that out last week. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's good for our students. So we will test our third graders on the 5th and the 6th. Over the course of those 2 days, and then our second graders, if you will remember last year, and part of our MOU as part of the Literacy Cadre is that we continue to participate with our second grade. So they will participate. It's not a high stakes test for second grade, but if you pass, then you're done on Thursday and Friday of that week. SAT is also that week for our juniors at the high school. If you will remember, there are a number of rules around the testing environment for that test, and so the rest of our students will be in a virtual space that day, but juniors will be on site for that day. Some students will need most of the day to test, so we need to keep students out of the hallways and the restrooms.
A couple other calendar notes dealing with virtual. One is next Tuesday is the snow makeup day, and since we did not use it and we're within that 5-day window of that time, we will have that as a makeup. That will be a definite day off for us. And then on April 1st, there's a lot of discussion. Is that going to be a virtual day or e-learning day? Dr. Worland will be coming back at the March board meeting and asking for clarification on which day we're going to use. If you recall, that's the Monday after spring break, and the question really pertains to the technology going home with K-1-2. And if we could have a virtual or an e-learning day. So Dr. Worland will be presenting on that at next month's meeting. Other than that, those are the calendar events and conclude our comments.
All right. That's all we got. Entertaining motion for adjournment. First.
Second.
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.